I believe that you recommended to use a plugin.
Yeah,
To
Spectator.
Yeah,
I've been
Spectator.
using Spectator. It's pretty nice. It removes a lot of the boilerplate that normally goes into Angular testing and gives you some nice helpers. So
Okay. Yeah,
that's why, and also with the mocking, it's a great way to handle mocking. It gives some great tools for that, mocking services, mocking, and then I'm using ng mocks for mocking components, pipes, directives, all that stuff.
Okay, all right. So it's actually more it does more things than the harness of testing Angular components from Angular. Because
Yeah,
that only really does think what it really does is it helps you get, I don't know, the components from the view and do
mm,
little nice things like, I don't know, check the value of a table cell or whatever.
yeah.
Uh, but it doesn't go very far. Um,
That's right. Yeah, I kind of changed my view on how to do Angular tests. So in my last project, we were actually going away from like doing 100% code coverage, unit
mm,
test on each component, each pipe, each directive, and at least and instead we focused on just covering the use cases with the integration tests. So I would be using Jest and for like bootstrapping basically the whole application. Then I will do router navigate on navigating to a specific page, and I will interact with that page. So basically, it's like an integration test with the whole front end and the back end stopped out,
mm,
because then I can cover more code with less tests, and I then only focus on the use cases. Because when you think about it, you basically testing is like an investment decision. So if you test normally what you see, especially in front end, if you test 100%, then it's probably not going to give you that much bang for the buck, because a lot of the errors are going to be in the integration points anyway. So you can still have like 100% code coverage, but your integration points or the interface between components as such might be wrong. So the application can still fail. So it's not really like I would say it's better to focus on testing, covering all the use cases, because in the end, your users are only going to caring about the use cases working for the most part. So covering them with integration tests are going to be a better bang for the buck. So what we ended up doing was just after each feature, we created a bunch of integration tests to cover the use cases. So you can do these integration tests either with Cypress or you can do it with Jest, and then you mock out the backend and just interact with them. Because instead of writing like hundreds of unit tests,
mm-hmm.
just do a couple of tests focused on the on the main use case. I can send you another blog post about this, so you can
Okay.
check if you check week 2 of the course. That's of course sorry, it's a week 3.
On the Slack, you mean?
No, in the course, I'm just gonna put it in the chat here. So
Okay.
that's this week from week 3 about testing, and then there's this blog post called testing. What's called Ken? It's a guy called Ken C. Dotz. He did this course in JavaScript testing. He's a React developer, but yeah, it got pretty famous. This blog post, I'm gonna post it right here. So it's a philosophy that's been pretty common right now in front end development, that instead of doing 100% code coverage, you shouldn't write that many tests. If you click on the blog post, you can see I can just share my screen at the same time, so I can show you the basic idea. So yeah, this guy is a conference speaker, and he's pretty famous in the React world. He did this talk, how the classic testing pyramid was, pretty much waste of time, because you write all these tests that are not really providing that much value. And these tests, like these unit tests, are not really saving you anyways, because errors can happen in the integration points, and then the unit tests will not do anything. So the sweet spot he figured out was like integration tests. should be the biggest part. So here, kind of find the testing trophy. It should be like most integration. He did this illustration of the testing trophy. Yeah. It's said on Twitter or something like that. Testing trophy, this one. So yeah, this is the basic illustration we did. So you can see, instead of like allocating most of the test at the unit test, he actually, he actually said you should just like a minimal amount of unit tests and focus more on integration tests. So the basic, so how I like to do it is so for each use case in your system, you create an integration test. You can do that with either Cypress, or you can do it with Jest. I mostly use just Jest, but it's a little faster. So in Jest you can spin up the whole application. You can make that, render the whole application, and you can use the router to then navigate to the specific page you need to render, and then you can interact with the page in Jest, or you can do it in Cypress. But the point here is you're interacting with the whole system, whole front-end system, but the backend is mocked out. So you use like a fake backend. Then for the end-to-end test, I would start with just creating one smoke test that runs against your staging environment. So just having one in place, you can see it's kind of like small here. Just having one in place is going to make sure that the communication with the front end and back end is working, and at least your staging environment is working. And also I would recommend using Cypress here, which is also like part of the course here for end-to-end testing. When you get this working stable and like consistently, then you can, I'm telling you in the course here, to identify the top 5 use cases and only run them as end-to-end tests, because I've seen it so many times. But if you create a lot of end-to-end tests, it's gonna take too much time to maintain the suite of end-to-end tests. It's gonna break all the time. So they're very expensive to maintain the end-to-end tests. They're kind of like hard to create. But so I'll just start creating one smoke test, end-to-end test. Then I will create integration tests for all your use cases. Then I'll create unit tests for important business logic and edge cases that are not covered with these other places. So if you have some very important logic in your system, you might write a unit test for it. If it's just something to do with presentation, I wouldn't do the unit test. I would just rely on this, because it's hard anyways to verify that a system, an app, looks correctly from with one of these tools. Even with these visual regression testing tools, you can get these tools that takes a screenshot of your system. I have tried them as well. I haven't seen anyone of them where they actually are working as intended. You'll see a lot of false positives with these kind of tools where they'll say there's a difference in the screenshots, but that's really not. So that's for the reason you still need to do some manual testing when you're releasing a new feature. But the heavy lifting is gonna be done with having integration tests for all your use cases, and having a smoke end-to-end test, and then unit tests for the important business logic and your edge cases. And then of course you should type everything out. So use TypeScript as much as possible. Use like TSLint rules to enforce rules, because they're gonna give a lot of bang for the buck. But the static and the static tools you get from TypeScript, because it's very cheap to maintain and it's cheap to run.
Yeah.